Dozens of others have been injured in the incident, which targeted a market near a mosque in a Shia-populated area. The death toll is expected to rise as several of the wounded are in critical condition. The authorities have declared a state of emergency in hospitals. In January, 24 people lost their lives in a similar bomb attack in Parachinar. The city is located in Pakistan's northwestern tribal region that is controlled by the federal government. The region on the border with Afghanistan has long been marred by sectarian violence. Let's speak to our correspondent Javed Rana now, who joins us live from the Pakistani capital, Islamabad. Now, Javed, tell us a bit more about the situation that's unfolding there in Parachinar and whether any group or individual has claimed responsibility.
Well, Daesh-linked terror group, Pakistani brand of Taliban, they have taken the responsibility, something everybody was expecting, and that has been unfortunately previous pattern. They have been involved in terrorism, they have been involved in sectarian violence, and what we have seen today, that is basically linked with the overall violence that we have been witnessing over the years, and they have been claiming that they are saying that was part of their so-called Ghazi operation. Security forces and the political authorities in Pakistan's northwestern province, they are once again blaming Afghan government that they are providing them shelter on the other side of the Afghanistan. From there, they are operating and conducting terrorist attacks inside Pakistan, and they are engaged not only killing security personnel, but also, unfortunately, they are directly targeting civilians, in this particular case, the worshippers inside the mosque.
Right now, Javed, that's interesting because we've heard the Afghan government blame the Pakistani government for harboring terrorists and allowing banned outfits to operate. So which is it?
I think in a broader picture, both countries have been blaming each other. And I think perhaps in one way or the other, they are also speaking truth about each other. Afghan government is harboring terrorists who are operating inside Pakistan, attacking civilians. And Pakistan, according to Afghan government, the Americans, Pakistan, along with they are now blaming Iran, they are blaming Pakistan, they are blaming Russia, that they are supporting Afghan Taliban, who are conducting attacks against NATO forces and Afghan national security. And I think in a broader picture, it appears that there is a bigger geostrategic game being played in the region. We cannot verify independently whose claim is truthful to what an extent, but it appears that in a broader picture, these terror groups, these militant groups, in one way or the other, they are being supported by the countries. But in case of Afghan Taliban, I think the situation is very different. They have a sort of de facto status inside Afghanistan. Russians have been inviting them. They have links with Pakistan. They have set up their diplomatic office in Qatar, and the world powers are negotiating with them. They are negotiating with them because of the fact that they are the de facto power, and the world wants to counter right now Daesh inside Afghanistan, which have been specifically targeting Shia Muslim community inside Afghanistan and Pakistan. And also, more importantly, Russia feels that in one way or the other, Americans are trying to besiege them through groups like Daesh. So I think in a broader picture, the case of Afghan Taliban is becoming different because it is getting acceptability from the regional countries.
Right. And very quickly, if you can, Javed, there's also concerns about the Saudi influence when it comes to Pakistan and the Pakistani government as well, which allows the festering of the Wahhabi ideology, which fuels groups like Daesh or the Taliban inside Pakistan. What has the government said about that?
I think Saudi's funding to the Daesh, by and large, is confined to the Middle East. That problem is, by and large, is confined to the Middle East. But there's also a fact that these terror groups are also coming from Middle East, and they are penetrating deep inside Pakistan, and they are operating now. And they have their sectarian agenda. They have their so-called caliphate agenda, which here in this part of the world, people are not ready to accept. So I think they do have a role, but in a broader picture, I think In countries like Pakistan, I think there is a sectarian problem and the problem of the hate literature, because of which these militant groups have been exploiting the young members of the populations. They've been recruiting them and using them as suicide bombers, and we have seen so much destruction which has been caused by these terror groups, primarily because of the hate literature. And I'm referring particularly in this case in sectarian violence, because in Parachinar, time and again, Shia Muslim community have been targeted, and that is partly because of the sectarian violence. But we cannot forget the overall geostrategic picture which is developing in the region.
Okay, Press TV's Javed Rana, they're reporting from the Pakistani capital. Javed, as always, thanks.